So, what are, now that we're kind of talking about this, you're hearing that there's like differing levels. Let's talk about that. What are the different levels? So, depending on which source and site that you read, there's generally characterized 3 to 4 different kinds of levels. And so there's like the least impacted to the most impacted. And so we'll start with the least. So say you're the least at the least end of the spectrum. Well, then a person at the least end of the spectrum generally can still engage life pretty well, but often kind of feels rotten while doing it. Like you can do it and you still sleep, you get up, you go to work, you might have family, you might have friends, you might go out and have your friendship times, connectivity. You might, you can still go shopping, you can still go and do things, but you may feel really tired and fatigued, like you're just kind of dragging. And so it kind of starts to impact your quality of life. You're not enjoying yourself quite as much as, you used to, kind of thing. Then in the middle, at that lesser impacted end, there are those that limit life to necessities. They go to work, they go and they get their food, they do their basics, and then they sleep and sleep, or they're just tired. It's kind of a mode of survival that typically lacks quite a few of the joys of enrichment activities, for lack of energy and ability, and just simply a shortness in the usable hours of the day. And I have a friend who has fibromyalgia that has the chronic fatigue element, and she falls into this category where, she spends her time, she isolates, she has to prioritize her time to work. And then she has family commitments. And so, she has groceries delivered. She does things that make her life easier where she can, but she doesn't really have a lot in the way of energy to go out and be able to do a lot of the things. Like you think back on your life and you're like, oh, I remember when, oh my God, such a party animal, or I used to go on vacations or do all these things. And those kinds of things get taken out of your ability list. You just don't have the energy for it. So now we're going to kind of switch to the other side of that halfway point. And so this isn't the fully extreme, but it is definitely in the worser end of things. So there are those people who are stuck in bed or resting an awful lot. That would be me. Unless the person is super creative, that would be me, and has access to home support. I am very grateful. I have my honey bun and he really helps me. But in these circumstances, even a few hours of work a week are not really possible. So I kind of alluded to that when I was saying, I build my slides or whatever, I'm doing my artwork. I'm doing those things. It all kind of happens at different periods of time, and I just kind of try to work with my energy levels and my ability to concentrate and think when I have it. I try to work with it in the way that works best for me, and I have running long lists of things. I'm always behind. I never catch up. It's always things to do, and I've just learned to adapt and work with it and kind of do the things that work with what I have that particular day or at that particular moment, and I just go with it and I try to make the most of it. But at the same time, your life really gets whittled down to very limited efforts and basic living. And this is also very true for me. So on better days when I have a little bit more energy or I've got a little bit more brain power, I'll be recording videos and doing those kinds of things. But other days get really down to I may or may not be able to take a shower that day. I always do my yoga, always. That is something that has become a lifeline for me. And so every day I do yoga, at least my 10 to 15 minutes. But I try to do at least 25 minutes a day. But if I don't have the energy, I let it go. And I just get that breath of movement for that shorter period of time. And on days where I'm moving really slowly, maybe I build in a self-massage, do my shoulders, get my feet, get the pressure points kinds of things. And I'll be sharing that as we go. I'll be actually introducing Moaning Zombie Yoga as we go here in the channel. So if you're interested, look for that, because I've really worked that really hard to make it work, and I've adapted it for my energy levels and for what I experience with chronic fatigue syndrome. So there's the lastly part, and I have been here, and if you were here, know that I'm hugging you, precious. Oh my God, just, oh gosh. I mean, like, even at my level right now, where I spend most of my time, this isn't a fun way to live when you do that dangerous thing of comparing yourself to others, or to how you used to be. That's a big one. I spent years getting lost in the sadness of what I was used to be able to do. If you find yourself doing that, please let me give you a little head start, a little help there. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. It's not helpful. It's just not a positive way to do this. You have chronic fatigue syndrome now. So wherever you are, what I would tell you is, don't compare yourself. You didn't have chronic fatigue syndrome when you were back then. So you didn't have those obstacles or those challenges. But so now you do. So what can you do to make your life really fulfilled and as positive and as joyful as you possibly can, and move towards the growing and nurturing and nourishing healthiness and improvement, and hopefully even fingers crossed for all of us, that we actually get to the other side and we kick it to the curb and we're like, bite me, you chronic fatigue syndrome. I never want to see you again. But so for the last category of folk, it's really bad. You're generally in bed. You don't really have the energy, like I was saying. You're just too weak and too sleepy, tired, too fatigued, too whatever. You're very much bedridden. I have a wheelchair for those kinds of days if I need to go to, say, a medical appointment or something. And so a wheelchair, a number of years ago, became a part of my life as an assist. And really, I just try not to have to go to doctor's appointments. And so that's one of the things I will say that came out of this COVID era, where video appointments became a real thing. And for me, what a lifesaver to not have to go and be able to have conversations with my care team unless I absolutely need to be seen in person. What a beautiful, beautiful thing. So there's that. So yeah, level 4. So I would add to this a little bit of description, which is these levels vary from person to person, day to day, hour to hour, week to week, year to year, as I've kind of explained. Sometimes I still have really bad days where I'm very much isolated in bed, but I still don't feel as bad as I did back then. And I might start off the day feeling okay, but by a couple of hours in, a few hours in, I start to tank out, crash out really bad. So for each person, you just kind of got to figure out your system. But from day to day, hour to hour, it's really hard to know how you're going to feel. And that actually is one of the things that makes it life altering. There's nothing reliable. So you could wake up feeling great, and by the middle of the afternoon be like, oh no. And you can't do things. And then you have to kind of like backtrack, get home if you're out, whatever it is, so that you can start to get resting. Because if you push yourself too hard, which we're going to talk about in just a second, you get post-exertional malaise, and that ain't good. So what is very common, or as I've written it, it's not uncommon to hear a person with chronic fatigue syndrome say that, oh yeah, I have good days, bad days, good times, good moments, bad moments, that sort of thing. We've begun to categorize and maximize when we feel good relative to when we don't. So as I've alluded to, I have experienced every level, where most of my CFS life has been at these two more extreme ends. I do get a few good hours on a number of days, and it varies, and it's very inconsistent. So the challenge that comes with this is we get this little bonus round, which I just was talking about, which is post-exertional malaise. So you get this excitement, especially when you felt really bad for a while. And then you're like, oh, look at me, I feel better. And so you're thinking, oh, I'll go out and tackle the world, or you'll go do whatever it is that you want to do. And then you overdo it. You overwork your body, you overtask your system, and it responds in kind by giving you post-exertional malaise, which, depending on the person and the experience, it can last from hours to days to weeks. It can take you down. So you don't want to accidentally kind of drive your body into that. It's not fun, and sometimes we're forced to. Sometimes I have to go and do medical appointments when I don't feel well, and it is not a good thing.